Quantum Radio Chapter 1, complete. A play. Opening scene. A single desk lit low. Behind it, a wall of monitors, camera feeds, cycling, tunnels, cylinders, a horizon that curves upward at both ends like the inside of a bowl. A man sits in the chair checking messages. He doesn't look up right away. Man scrolling, cheerful emails. Oh, good, someone still remembers I exist. He sets it down, grinning, looks up out at us or past us. I'm inside a rock, main asteroid belt, and it is, hand to heart, the safest place I've ever lived. Radiation's nominal in here. The rock does the shielding for free, no engineering required, no maintenance. Out on the surface, sure, it's a mess, micrometeorites, hard radiation, no forgiveness. But in here, none of that touches you. Best real estate in the system, and nobody's even bidding on it yet. Beat. People ask how this started. It started with a distance problem. He stands, moves toward the monitors, the cameras, the robots. You can't run a project like this from Earth. Light lag alone kills it. You send a command, you wait, you watch it happen minutes later, you correct, you wait again. Try mining an asteroid belt that way. Try building anything that way. So quantum radio. He claps once, delighted, like he still can't quite believe it worked. Spooky action at a distance made useful. Point to point, instant, anywhere in the solar system. No lag, zero. The day that thing came online was the best day of my career. Suddenly we had real control, not delayed control, not eventually control. We were watching through the robot's own cameras, live, steering them like our hands were already out here. Genuinely one of the great mornings of my life. A monitor shows robots at work, cutting, hauling. That's how it started. Remote control. Robots hollowing out the rock, cutting the system's bays, and once the first machines were up, robots building robots. Fabrication lines making their own replacement parts, their own successors. We trained them to mine ore, smelt it, refine it, store it. Chromium stainless steel, mostly. A steel mill out here in the dark, run by machines we never had to touch. He walks the length of the desk, gesturing at the feed as it changes, mining rigs, then a smelting floor, then rows of tanks. Water storage, fuel storage, a power plant, seed bank, all of it built before a single person set foot here. He stops. The monitor now shows the interior of a vast cylinder, green fields curving up and overhead into the sky. And then the real experiment, the habitat. Leaning in, proud, like he's showing off a magic trick. 2 cylinders, 500 feet across, spinning opposite each other so the torque cancels out. Clever bit that took a while to get right. 20 acres apiece, mostly crops, a few buildings tucked off to the sides so they don't load the bearings unevenly. Light runs down the spindle at the center, and the spin does the rest, centripetal force standing in for gravity. That's the whole bet. Get that force right, and a person can live in it as long as they like and never lose a scrap of muscle or bone. Freefall can't touch you here. He grins, genuinely delighted with himself. I call it the Habitat Valley, because that's exactly what it looks like from the ground, a valley with 2 hills, curving up and away from you until they close clean over your head. Best part, walk far enough in any direction and you don't hit a wall. You just end up back where you started. Same spot. Every single time. I still laugh about that. Beat. Elevators run out to the ends, out to the hub, where the spin falls off and you go weightless again. That's where the fun engineering happens, docking, systems bays, all the parts of the build that don't want a floor. He sits back down, practically bouncing. So crops are in, the cylinder's stable, reads good, better than good. I came out here to test it myself. See if the valley holds up with an actual person living in it, not just instruments. And so far. A big grin. So far it's working. Here we are. He looks at the monitor, a readout, a number. 37.2 trillion cells in a human body. Rough count. 3 cells to a transistor, if you wanted to make that comparison. Call it 12.4 trillion transistors, give or take. Biggest chip anyone's built is something like 1.2, 1.3 trillion. He looks back at us, delighted. So you've got a ways to go yet. Tin Man, catch up. Lights hold on him a moment, then fade. End of opening scene. Scene 2. Same desk. The monitors have shifted, now showing the tunnel network, cut deep through the rock, long, ribbed corridors lit at intervals. The man is not sitting this time. He's standing at the edge of the light, looking into the feed like it's a window. Man bright, like he's been waiting to show someone this. People want to know what it's actually like in here, not the specs. The place. Come on, let me show you the good stuff. He gestures at the tunnel feed. These run everywhere. We didn't dig them so much as grow them. 3D printing mostly. A print head crawls the rock face, lays down structure as it goes, and behind it the tunnel's just finished. Walls, conduit, lighting rail, all in one pass. Faster than anything we could have done with drills and crews, and honestly, it's a little bit magic to watch. Beat grinning. The hands are the part that gets me every time. We've got robots printing robot hands now, down to the joints, the tendons, if you want to call them that. Cable and sleeve instead of muscle. Every generation a little finer than the last. You watch one come off the line, and it's already better than the one that built it. It's like watching a kid outgrow you in real time, except you invited it. He walks back toward the desk, sits, laces his fingers together on the desktop. An echo of the hands he just described. That's the process if you want the short version. Print the tool, use the tool to print a better tool. Let it run. Best system I've ever built, bar none. A different feed catches his eye, water, moving, catching light strangely for somewhere with no sky. He brightens instantly. Oh, that's my favorite thing in this whole place, and it does absolutely nothing useful, which is exactly why I love it. He turns the monitor toward us, grinning like a kid. There's a channel that runs along the low side of the valley, irrigation mostly, feeding the crop rows. But the spin does something wonderful to it. Water doesn't just flow here, it climbs, a little, along the curve, because the floor itself is curving away underneath it the whole time. So naturally, we put a ball in it, just to see. Delighted, practically laughing. It runs the ball down the channel, and the channel runs it back up, and back down, and it never quite stops the way you'd expect water to stop. First families that get out here, I already know exactly what I'm doing, handing some kid a ball and pointing them straight at that channel. Going to be a whole thing. He turns back to the desk, still smiling, energy still up. Anyway, that's the process side of it. Tunnels, hands, water, building the place a piece at a time, letting each piece build the next. Doesn't get old. Lights narrow to the desk, then fade. End of scene 2. Scene 3. Tight desk shot, the frame pulls in close, monitors now just aglow at the edges instead of the main event. On the desk, within reach, sit 2 objects that haven't appeared before. A book, worn, its cover a flat, stamped yellow, the kind of yellow that means warning before you've read a word of the title. And beside it, a camera. Boxy. Stripped down. No viewfinder to speak of, just a body built for a hand and a thick glove to find blind and get right the first time. The man picks up the book first, without looking at it, like his hand knows where it is better than his eyes do. Man turning it over, radiation manual. Standard issue, every crew gets one. Covers yellow on purpose, same yellow as the placards on the shielding, same yellow as the suit trim. So your hand finds the right book in the dark if it ever comes to that, which so far, knock on rock, it hasn't. He sets it down, doesn't open it, pats it once like an old friend. Haven't needed it. Told you already, the rock does the shielding for free, better than anything we could have engineered. But you keep the book anyway, because good habits are what keep good luck looking like good planning. He picks up the camera next, turns it over in his hands, clearly fond of it. This one I did need. Or my grandfather's stories needed it, more like. He used to talk about the moon cameras. Apollo. Everybody assumes those were some big glass plate rig, view camera, dark cloth over your head, number medium format Hasselblads, stripped to nothing. No mirror, no viewfinder, you couldn't fit one in a suit like that anyway. So they just pointed with their whole body and trusted the training. Huge, simple controls, built so a hand in a thick glove couldn't miss. A real smile. This is the same idea. Not the same camera, obviously, but the same rule. Build it so it works blind, Works cold, works the first time every time because there's no second trip to the shop out here. No extra parts to fail. Nothing on it that isn't earning its place. Beat. That's true of most things out here, actually. The habitat doesn't feel dangerous. Feels like a valley. Feels like weather that never turns. And that's not luck. That's the whole point of the design. We built it so the risk stays outside, on the hull where it belongs, and everyone in here just gets to live. He looks up past the desk, past us, proud at ease. This desk, though, this is where most of it actually happens, if you're wondering. Not the fields, not the tunnels here. A man at a desk, watching robots do the parts that would have killed a person a generation ago, reading reports on crops he didn't plant with his own hands, keeping a book he's never had to open. A real smile. Not exactly the hero shot you'd picture, but it's a good one. Nobody's out there swinging a pickaxe, breaking their back for this. It's a desk, a chair, and a rock full of quiet, capable machines doing exactly what they're told, and doing it well. He sets the book and the camera back in their places. Same spots, precisely, like they belong nowhere else. Anyway, that's the desk. That's the book, that's the camera. Between the three of us, that's most of what makes this whole thing work. He leans back, relaxed, hands behind his head. The monitors behind him keep their slow loop. Fields, tunnels, the water channel, around again. Lights hold on the desk a long moment, then fade to black. End of scene 3. Coda. Black. Then, the monitors flicker back on, glowing warm in the dark. No desk, no man, just the loop, humming along steadily on its own. Fields. Tunnels. The water channel, the ball still climbing and falling, tireless. Somewhere in it, faint but constant, the hum of a print head laying down another length of wall, one more piece of a place that's only going to get bigger. Man VO. Bright, energized, a voice looking forward, not back, so that's the start of it. A rock, a radio, a valley, a book I've never had to open, and a camera built the same way everything out here is built, no wasted parts, nothing that isn't earning its place. Beat. And it's working. Genuinely, actually working. Which means everything after this is the fun part, watching it grow, watching who shows up next, watching this valley fill in. A grin in his voice. Can't wait, honestly. The loop keeps turning, alive with motion. The light on the spindle eases down gently, the cylinder settling into a night it built for itself. Not an ending, just a pause before the next good day. Chapter 2. The first arrival. Scene 1. The desk again, but the light's different now, warmer, mid-morning by the spindle's clock. A soft chime sounds, unfamiliar, insistent. The man's head snaps up from whatever he was doing. He's on his feet before the second chime finishes. Man to himself, half laughing, disbelieving. That's not a systems alert. That's not a systems alert, that's. He's already moving to the monitor, hands almost fumbling with the controls. That's the docking chime. He gets the feed up. On the monitor, a ship, small, unfamiliar, drifting in against the black, running lights blinking a lazy, patient rhythm as it lines up with the hub. He stares at it a long moment, like he needs to confirm it isn't a glitch. Okay. He laughs, one real, startled bark of a laugh, and grabs for the comm panel. Man caught into the comm, trying to sound composed and failing entirely. This is hi. Hello. This is the habitat. This is you're seeing my board light up, I assume, because mine sure is. Go ahead. Voice VO, crackling faintly through the quantum radio, cheerful, a woman's voice habitat. This is Transport Fenimore, inbound, requesting a hub berth. We've got your beacon. Nice light show, by the way, that spindle's visible from further out than you'd think. Man, a real grin breaking through. Copy, Fenimore. Berth's yours, hub's clear. Nothing's ever docked there before, so try not to laugh at how empty it looks. Beat, and here his voice catches, just slightly, with something bigger than logistics. How many of you? Voice VO 6 this run. 2 agronomists, a structural engineer, a doctor, and you're going to want this part, 1 kid. 7 years old. Been asking about the valley the whole trip. The man sits down hard, like his legs decided that on their own. He's grinning, and it's not a small grin. Man quiet to himself before keying the comm again. There's a ball. Tell the kid there's a ball. In the water channel. Tell them. He catches himself, laughs again. Back into the comm, warmer now. Tell them welcome home. All of you. Bring her in slow, hubs ready, and Fenimore, thank you. Really. It's been just me and some very good robots out here for a long time. Voice VO, warm, a little teasing well. Not for much longer, Habitat. See you in 20 minutes. The comm clicks off. The man sits at the desk a moment, staring at the ship growing larger on the monitor, absolutely lit up with the fact of it. Behind him, faint on another feed, the water channel keeps running its ball up and down, patient, like it's been waiting for exactly this. Man to the empty room, grinning, almost giddy. 20 minutes. All right, let's go find that kid a ball. He's up, moving fast, energy pouring off him. Lights follow him out. End of scene 1. Scene 2. A different space entirely, the first time we've left the desk. The hub, where the elevators meet the spin. Bare walls, handholds everywhere, that particular hush of a space built for zero gravity. A hatch cycles open with a hiss and a clunk. Beyond it, 5 adults and 1 child drift through in a loose, careful line, wide-eyed, still getting their bearings. The man is waiting, braced against a handhold, grinning like he's forgotten how to do anything else. Man, a little too loud, overcompensating for nerves, welcome to the hub. Sorry, no gravity yet, that's a few decks down. Don't let go of anything until you've got the hang of drifting. And even then, mostly don't let go of anything. Doctor, laughing, pulling herself along a rail, feels exactly like The Sims. Every simulator lied to me about how much I'd want to throw up, though. Man, give it a minute. Everybody does the first time. Then you forget you ever felt weird about it. The child, small, drifting a little too enthusiastically, tethered loosely to one of the adults, spots the man and goes very still, staring. Child, are you the robot man? Man, crouching best he can in 0G, delighted by the question. I work with a lot of robots, yeah. I'm not one myself. Last I checked. Child, entirely serious. My mom said you built this whole place with robots. All of it. Is that true? Man, mostly true. I had help. A lot of help. But yeah, this whole valley, the tunnels, all of it, mostly robots, with me telling them what to do and occasionally getting in their way. The kid considers this with total seriousness, then brightens. Child, is there really a ball that never stops? Man, grinning, delighted someone finally asked. There is. First thing, once we're planet-side, well, Valicide, whatever the word is. First thing, I'm taking you straight there. The engineer, practical, already scanning the structure with a professional eye, cuts in gently. Engineer before the tour, bearings on the counter-rotation. You said in the brief they were holding steady. Man, turning, happy to talk shop, steady and then some. Better numbers than the Sims ever predicted, honestly. I'll walk you through the readouts the second we're down. You're going to like what you see. One of the AGRONOMISDS has drifted toward a viewport that looks down the length of the hub toward the valley floor far below. Green, curved, impossibly present. Agronomist, quiet, odd, that's actually down there. That's real. Man coming to stand beside her, looking down at it too, like he still can't quite believe it either, 20 acres aside. Crops are in, growing well past what the models promised. You're going to have a lot of very healthy dirt to work with. Beat, and something in his voice loosens, gets simpler, more honest. I've been talking to that valley alone for a long time. Kind of nice, having someone else to point it out to. The doctor claps him lightly on the shoulder, kind. Doctor, well, get used to it. We brought 5 more ships worth of people behind us. The man's face does something between laughing and just about tearing up. He covers it by turning briskly toward the elevator. Man, bright. Moving right. Right. Down we go then, gravity, dirt, and 1 very patient ball in that order. The group follows him, drifting, laughing, the child tumbling ahead eagerly toward the elevator. Lights follow them down. End of scene 2. Scene 3. Full gravity now, real weight, real footsteps. The valley floor stretching up and away on both sides into green. Sunlight, or the near enough imitation of it, runs the length of the spindle overhead. The water channel cuts along the low ground, bright, moving with that faint uphill lean the spin gives it. The man and the child arrive at a run, the kid clearly leading. The man laughing, a little out of breath, delighted to be outrun. Child skidding to a stop at the edge of the channel, starring it's really climbing. It's actually climbing. Man catching up, grinning, told you. Water doesn't know it's not supposed to do that. The whole floor's curving away under it, so as far as the water's concerned, it's just going downhill. Forever, in every direction. He crouches, picks a smooth, stone-sized ball out of a little wooden box tucked beside the channel, clearly kept there for exactly this. Man can't go on. Right in the middle, gentle toss and watch. The child takes the ball with both hands, solemn as a ceremony, and drops it in. It rides the current down the channel, slows, climbs back the way it came, slows again, turns back, patient, tireless, exactly as promised. Child watching it, delighted, a little stunned, it's not stopping. Man, nope. Child, when does it stop? Man, sitting down properly on the grass now, in no hurry at all, never really does, on its own. Eventually somebody'll fish it out for dinner or a storm'll come through the vents and knock it off course. But left alone, it'll do that all day. Did it all day, every day, for a long time before you got here, just me and that ball, having the same conversation over and over. The child sits down hard next to him, still watching the ball, unable to look away. Child, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Man quiet, and meaning it more than the moment probably shows, yeah. Mine too, honestly. Glad somebody else finally gets to see it. A beat. The ball climbs, slows, falls back, climbs again. Behind them, distant, the adults are picking their way down the valley path, the doctor laughing at something, the engineer already crouched over a soil reading, the agronomist just standing still, taking in the size of the place. Child, not looking away from the water. Can I come here every day? Man, a real, unguarded smile, every single day. That's kind of the whole point of building it. He leans back on his hands, looking up the curve of the valley to where it closes overhead, green and bright and impossibly full now, for the first time, of more than just him. Lights hold on the two of them and the endless small water, then fade slowly. End of scene 3. Coda. Black. Then, the valley at dusk, the spindle light easing down warm and gold along the curve. Whiter now than we've seen it, figures moving in the middle distance, small against the green. The doctor walking the crop rows with the agronomist, the engineer crouched by the channel itself, running a hand along the stonework like he's already planning improvements. Near the water, small, unmistakable, the child is still crouched at the edge, watching the ball climb and fall, climb and fall. Man VO, warm, easy, the voice of someone who stopped bracing for things to go wrong, funny, spent all that time building a place for exactly this, and somehow I still wasn't ready for it. 6 people, 1 kid. A whole channel's worth of company for a ball that's been talking to itself for years. Beat, a small laugh. 5 more ships behind this one, which means, best I can figure, this was never really the end of building the place. A real unhurried smile. It was just the first day it started being lived in. The light keeps easing down, gold going toward evening. The ball keeps its patient, endless climb. Somewhere far off, faint, laughter, the doctors, maybe, or the kids, carries across the whole curved length of the valley. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. The second cylinder. Scene 1. Weeks later, if the light on the spindle is any guide, the valley looks lived in now. A rough-built table sits near the water channel, some tools left out, a line of laundry strung between 2 young trellises that weren't there before. The man stands with the engineer, both looking up not at the valley they're standing in, but at something beyond it, through a gap in the rock overhead where stars show plainly. The child sits nearby at the channel, half listening, mostly focused on the ball. Engineer, tapping a tablet, all business, but pleased, bearings on this one are solid. Better than solid. I've gone through the numbers twice because I didn't believe them the first time. We could start the spin up on the second cylinder inside a month. Man, grinning, a little giddy. A month? You're telling me a month? Engineer, I'm telling you a month, if the crews hold pace. 20 more acres, spinning opposite this one, exactly like the plans always said. You built this place to be a matched pair. Feels wrong it's been limping along on just the one wing this whole time. Man, looking up at the gap, the stars, it never felt like limping to me. Felt like plenty. Beat, and he laughs at himself. But sure, greedy now. 20 more acres does sound very good. The doctor arrives, wiping her hands on a cloth, trailed by the agronomist, both looking pleased with themselves. Doctor, if you two are done being smug about bearings, first real harvest is in. Whole first row. Agronomist here wants you to see it before anyone eats a bite of it. Agronomist, delighted, holding up a basket, grew faster than the models. Grew better than the models. I don't fully know why yet, and I don't entirely care. I just want everyone to eat some before I start asking questions. Man, taking the basket like it's something precious, which to him it clearly is. First thing that ever came out of that dirt that wasn't planned by a spreadsheet. He looks around at all of them, the engineer, the doctor, the agronomist, the kid still crouched at the water, and something in his face just settles, easy and full. Man, can't, all right. Table by the channel, everybody right now. First harvest doesn't wait for a schedule. Child perking up instantly. Can the ball come too? Man already laughing, already moving, the ball never leaves. The ball is basically staff at this point. They gather round the rough table by the water, the whole small, new, entirely unlikely community of them. The basket set down in the middle like the object of a small ceremony. Lights hold on the gathering, warm, unhurried. End of Scene 1. Scene 2. The hub again, but crowded now, more people than we've seen yet. Colonists from those 5 more ships pressed to every viewport, all looking the same direction. Out through reinforced glass at the second cylinder. Dark, still, waiting. The man and the engineer float at the main control station, side by side, both trying very hard to look calmer than they are. Engineer, hands steady on the panel, voice not quite as steady, all systems green. Bearings primed, countermass balanced, first stage thrusters standing by. This is the part where I stop checking numbers and just trust the numbers. Man grinning, nervous energy barely contained, trust the numbers. Very brave of you. Engineer, a look, half glare, half grin on your mark. Oh, great original tenant of this rock. Man taking a breath, and then, warmly to the whole crowd more than to her, this one's not really mine to call. Built the first cylinder alone. This one's everybody's. He looks around at the crowded hub, faces pressed to glass, the child near the front, nose flat against the viewport, the doctor with a hand resting light on the kid's shoulder. Man can't, raising his voice, easy, inviting, somebody else do the honors, anybody who wants it. A beat of surprised silence, then the child's hand shoots straight up, absolutely certain. Child me, obviously me. Laughter ripples through the hub. The man grins, waves the kid forward. The engineer shifts aside to make room at the panel, guides small hands to the activation control. Engineer, gentle, steady, right here. Big green one, whenever you're ready. Child deadly serious, savoring the moment. 3, 2, 1. The kid presses it. For a long beat, nothing. Then, far off through the glass, a low groan of machinery waking up, and the second cylinder begins, almost imperceptibly, to turn. A ragged cheer breaks out across the hub, people cheering, clapping each other's shoulders, someone laughing too loud, the doctor openly wiping her eyes. Man shouting over the noise, delighted, half laughing, there it goes. There it goes, 20 more acres, everybody. Spinning up as we speak. The second cylinder turns, slow and certain, catching the spindle light along its length for the first time. The child stares at it, transfixed, hand still resting on the panel like it might need convincing to keep going. Child quiet, odd I did that. Man crouching by the kid, grinning, full of it, you did that. First thing you'll ever build out here, and it's a whole second world. The cylinder keeps turning. The crowd keeps cheering. Lights hold on the two cylinders, one long settled, one just waking up, both catching the light now, side by side. End of scene 2. Scene 3. Back at the desk, quieter now, evening light easing down the spindle. The hub's noise has faded to a distant, contented murmur somewhere above. The man sits, the yellow book and the old camera still exactly where they've always been. The child is curled in the other chair, half asleep, still wearing the pride of the day like a coat too big for them. Child sleepy, fighting it. Are there going to be more cylinders? Man soft, amused maybe. If people keep showing up wanting dirt to grow things in. This rock's got more room in it than we've used yet. Child threw a yawn. Good. I want to press all of the buttons. Man laughing quietly. I'll hold you to that. The kid's eyes finally close for good. The man sits a moment, doesn't move, just lets the quiet settle, the whole day catching up with him at once. He glances at the camera on the desk, picks it up, turns it over once, sets it down gently, like he's filing the day away somewhere safe. Man quiet, to no one or to the room, or to whoever might someday ask how this all started. Built it so it'd work blind, work cold, work the first time. Beat, a small satisfied smile. Turns out it also just works. Good, all of it. Better than I let myself hope for. He reaches over, gently pulls a blanket up over the sleeping kid without quite thinking about it. An easy, practiced gesture. Behind him, faint on a monitor, the two cylinders keep turning, opposite and matched, both green, both alive. Lights hold on the desk, the book, the camera, the sleeping kid, the man watching over all of it, then fade slowly. End of scene 3. Coda. Wide black. Then, the whole asteroid seen from outside for the first time in the whole story, a dark, irregular rock and cut into it, glowing faint and gold through the rock seams, two cylinders turning in patient, opposite rhythm. Small lights move around it, transport ships in dock and in approach more than we've seen before. Man VO. Easy, unhurried, a voice completely at peace. Started with a rock and a radio and a stubborn idea that distance didn't have to mean alone. Beat. Now it's a rock, a radio, two valleys, more people than I can properly introduce anymore, and one kid who's already planning to run the whole operation someday. A warm laugh. Wouldn't change a single wasted part free, over-engineered, over-hopeful piece of it. The rock turns slowly against the stars, the two gold seams of light steady, unhurried, wholly alive. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Word from Earth. Scene 1. The desk, but rearranged now. A second chair pulled up permanent looking beside the man's. A child's drawing taped to the edge of a monitor. A lopsided cylinder. A stick figure. A very enthusiastic balls. The quantum radio unit itself sits more prominent than we've seen it. A steady, patient light pulsing on its housing. It chimes different from the docking chime, older, more formal. The man looks at it, surprised. Man, to the engineer, who's nearby doing something to a wall panel. That's the Earth line. That's, nobody's hailed the Earth line in months. Engineer, not looking up, amused. Maybe they finally found something worth saying. He opens it. A voice comes through, older, warm, a little formal in the way of someone reading carefully from notes, but clearly moved by them anyway. Director VO. Through the radio, warm static under the words habitat. This is mission control, Earth relay. Is this, am I speaking with the original systems operator? The one who went out alone? Man sitting up straighter, oddly nervous. That's me. Still me. Though I've got a lot of company these days. Director VO. A real laugh, delighted, so we've heard. We've heard quite a bit, actually. Your engineer's reports, the harvest data, a pause, like he's smiling. The extensive documentation on a ball that won't stop moving. That last one made the rounds here more than the crop yields did, if I'm honest. Man laughing, a little disbelieving, the ball made the rounds. On Earth. Director VO, everywhere. People are, I don't think you understand what this looks like from here. We sent one person out to see if a rock could hold a life. And it didn't just hold one, it's holding 100 now, headed for 1,000. Cylinders spinning, Crops that outperform every model we ran, and children born under a light that isn't even the sun. Beat, and his voice thickens slightly. Director VO, can't the applications, since your last transmission, we've had more people volunteer for the next transport than we have ships to carry them. Thousands, all wanting a piece of what you built. The man sits very still, taking that in. The engineer has stopped what she was doing, listening too, quiet. Man, quiet, genuinely moved. I built a hole in a rock and asked some robots to be patient with me. Director VO, warm, you built proof. That's a different thing entirely. Proof that the distance was never the real problem, that once you solve for it, people will fill any space you give them and fill it well. You should know that out there. It matters more than the numbers do. The child wanders in mid-conversation, drawn by the unfamiliar voice, and climbs into the second chair without being invited, listening with open curiosity. Child whispering to the man, who's that? Man whispering back, grinning, that's Earth. Say hello. Child leaning toward the radio, delighted, entirely unself-conscious. Hello, Earth. We have a ball that never stops. A beat of static, and then the director's laugh comes through, full and real and a little undone by it. Director VO, through the laugh, hello yourself. Keep that ball running. Some of us down here would very much like to come see it ourselves someday. Man grinning, an arm settling around the back of the kid's chair, easy and warm anytime. Channel's right where it's always been. We'll keep the water moving till you get here. The radio's light pulses steady, patient, a little brighter than before. Lights hold on the desk, the man, the kid, the old drawing, the whole small, unlikely room, then fade. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. The warning. Scene 1. The desk. Different energy this time, brisk, alert. A klaxon sounds once, short, controlled, not panicked. A trained signal, not an alarm out of a disaster. The man is already moving before it finishes. The engineer right behind him, both reading a monitor now thick with tracking data. A scatter of small, fast-moving points, converging slowly on a single trajectory. Engineer, fast, focused, not scared, debris field, sublet off something bigger further out. Nothing we tracked before now, small stuff fast. Surface crews are already pulling in. Tunnels and cylinders are sealed automatic. That part's already done. Man, reading the scatter plot, calm, but locked in time to closest approach. Engineer, 11 minutes. Nothing on this list is bigger than a fist, but at that speed, a fist goes through anything we've got exposed topside. Man nodding, already keying the comm, then nobody's exposed topside. Everybody in. He keys the wider comm, his voice steady, warm even under the urgency, clearly a voice this whole community already trusts. Man can't, into the comm, calm and clear, this is the desk. Debris advisory, not a drill, surface teams, you should already be moving, keep moving. Everyone else, this changes nothing for you. The rock does what the rock's always done. Sit tight, mind the little ones, and let the robots do what they're built for. A beat. On the monitor, small figures move, surface crews retreating through airlocks. Cylinders, outer hatches sealing in clean, practiced sequence. The man watches, tense but not afraid, hand braced on the desk. Dr. VO, through the comm, admirably steady, med bays sealed, everyone accounted for down here. Kids fine, by the way, currently more interested in the ball than the debris field, if that tells you anything. Man, a real, relieved laugh breaking through the tension. That tells me everything I need to know, honestly. The scatter plot on the monitor updates. The converging points beginning, one by one, to skim past, deflected, breaking up against the rock's outer shell in small flares nobody down here will ever see or feel. Engineer, watching the readout, exhaling there. First waves clearing. Shells holding, not even a stress spike worth logging. Man quiet, watching the numbers settle, built it thick for exactly this. Good to finally see it earn its keep. The klaxon cuts off, a different, softer tone replacing it, the all clear. Somewhere distant, faint through the comm, a small ragged cheer goes up from the surface crews coming back in. The man lets his shoulders drop. the tension finally leaving him. Man can't, into the calm, warm, a little worn, entirely proud, all clear, everybody. Rock held. It always was going to, but good work, all of you, moving fast and moving smart. That's the whole reason none of this ever had to be scary. He sits down hard, the adrenaline draining out all at once, and laughs, short and real. Man can't, to the engineer, shaking his head, 11 minutes. Longest 11 minutes I've had since the day that first cylinder started spinning. Engineer, dry, but fond, get used to it. Space doesn't stop throwing rocks just because we built a nice valley in one of them. Man, grinning, already relaxing into it, no. But it turns out we built the valley pretty well. He looks to the monitor, the debris scattered harmlessly now, the 2 cylinders turning on, untouched, patient as ever. Lights hold on the desk, the settling calm, then fade. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6. Born in the Valley. Scene 1. Night cycle, the spindle light dimmed low and gold. The desk sits empty, first time we've seen it that way in a while. Down the hall, urgent but controlled footsteps. The man half runs into a small medical bay, still pulling a jacket on, clearly woken from sleep. The doctor is there, calm, competent, mid-task. The engineer hovers by the door, unusually useless, wringing her hands. Man breathless, someone said, is it happening? Right now. Doctor not looking up, entirely steady right now. Agronomists doing fine, everyone's doing fine, and you can stop looking like you're the one in labor. Man laughing, nervous, delighted, sorry. Sorry, it's just this is the actual thing. This is the whole reason He stops himself, overwhelmed, and just watches from the doorway instead. Hand pressed briefly to his own chest like he's trying to keep his heart in one place. Engineer quiet to him, both of them just watching now. You realize what this is, don't you? Not just a birth. The test. The actual test, whether a body raised right here in that spin comes out fine. Whether the bones hold, whether the muscle holds, whether all that math about centripetal force actually. Man soft, cutting her off gently, not unkindly. I know exactly what it is. Beat. I've known since the day I set foot in that first cylinder, alone, and wondered if my own bones would hold up long enough to find out. Never thought I'd be standing here for the answer instead. A long, tense silence then, cutting through it, a sound none of them have heard before in this story. A baby's first cry, thin and furious and entirely alive. The man's face breaks open, helpless, joyful. The engineer grips his arm without seeming to notice she's doing it. Doctor voice thick but professional, checking readouts even as she smiles, heart rate strong. Reflexes are strong. Bone density scans cued, but just looking at her, she's not just fine. Beat, and she looks up at the man directly now, something enormous in the moment. Dr. Kant, she's exactly what the models hoped for. Better. The man doesn't say anything for a moment, just stands in the doorway, one hand still pressed to his chest, eyes bright. The child appears at his side without anyone noticing when, pajama-clad, hair a mess, drawn by the noise, tugging at his sleeve. Child whispering, odd, is that a baby? A whole new one. Man crouching down, voice thick, delighted, a whole new one. Born right here. First one ever. Child, considering this with total seriousness. Does she get to see the ball too? Man laughing, wiping his eyes without quite hiding it. The second she can walk, I promise you, straight to the channel. Whole tour, same as you got. He straightens, looks through to where the agronomist holds her daughter, exhausted and radiant, the doctor quietly finishing her checks. The whole small room glows warm under the low night light. Man can't. Quiet, mostly to himself, full. Started this whole thing wondering if a person could live out here without falling apart. Beat, watching the baby. Guess we've got our answer. In the best possible way a person could ever get one. Lights hold on the small, crowded room, the exhausted mother, the new baby, the doctor, the engineer, the kid, the man, all of them gathered around the very first proof the whole project ever needed. Then fade, slow and warm. End of Chapter 6. Chapter 7. The Next Rock. Scene 1. Days later, the valley in full daylight, the water channel running its endless ball, the crop rose thick and green. A small crowd has gathered near the channel, the whole cast we know, plus new faces, a real community now. The agronomist stands with her baby wrapped at the center of it. The man stands near, holding a small, worn object, the yellow radiation book, oddly, tucked under one arm. Agronomist, to the gathered crowd, warm, a little emotional, first one born in the valley deserves a name that means something out here. Not an earth name, a here name. She looks to the man. Agronomist, Kant, you started all this talking to a radio in the dark, hoping something would answer. Seems fair the first kid born under that light gets a name that remembers it. Man, surprised, moved, setting the book down carefully on the channel's edge. That's a lot of credit for a man who mostly just told robots what to do. Dr. Dry, fond, take the credit. You've earned it. Now give the kid a name before she starts asking for one herself. The man considers a long moment, looking down at the baby, then out at the valley, the 2 cylinders, the crops, the water, the whole unlikely, thriving thing. Man, quiet, careful, meaning every word radia, for the rock that kept her safe before she ever took a breath. A soft murmur of approval through the crowd. The agronomist smiles, holds the baby a little closer. The child, now visibly a little taller than when we first met them, pipes up from near the water. Child can Radia have a ball too, when she's big enough. Man, laughing, warm, whole channels got room for 2. Just then, the engineer hurries up from the direction of the hub, a tablet in hand, breathless with news rather than alarm. Engineer, sorry, didn't want to interrupt, but this can't wait. Transmission just came in. Earth relay. Man, alert, curious. Good transmission or nervous transmission. Engineer, grinning, unable to hold it in. Good. Very good. They're green-lighting a second site. New asteroid, different belt cluster, same blueprint, cylinders, quantum relay, all of it. First crew launches within the year. A ripple of astonishment and delight through the crowd. The man goes very still, processing it. Man, quiet, almost disbelieving, they're building another one. Engineer, they're building another one. And she glances at her tablet, then back up, careful, offering rather than pushing. They've asked if anyone here would consider going out to help start it. Nobody's obligated, but somebody who's done this before would save them years. A long beat. The whole community seems to hold its breath, looking to the man. He looks around at the valley, the crops, Radia in her mother's arms, the child at the water's edge, the 2 cylinders turning steady overhead. Man, slow, thoughtful, and then warmly certain, not me. Not this time. Beat, a small smile. Man, Kant, I already built the place I was trying to get to. Somebody else can go be the person alone in the dark for a while. I hear it works out all right, eventually. He looks to the engineer, an idea clearly forming, delighted with itself. Man, Kant, but send my notes. All of them. Every mistake I made the hard way, so whoever goes doesn't have to make them twice. Engineer, smiling, already keying it into the tablet, copy that. I'll tell them the blueprint comes with footnotes. Man, grinning, looking back out at the valley, full daylight, full of people, full of life. Tell them it comes with a lot more than that. He picks the yellow book back up off the channel's edge, holds it a moment, looks at the whole gathered, thriving crowd of them. Radia, the child, the doctor, the agronomist, the engineer, all of it, and just breathes it in. Man, Kant, soft, to the valley more than to anyone. Tell them it comes with everything it took to get here. And tell them it's worth every bit of it. Wide shot, the valley in full light, the channel running its patient ball, the crowd easy and unhurried around the newest, smallest member of it, the 2 cylinders turning steady overhead. And beyond the rocks seems, faint against the stars, the far-off promise of a second one just beginning. Lights hold, warm and full, then fade slowly to black. End of Chapter 7. Chapter 8. The Network. Scene 1. Years later, the light on the spindle has the settled, unremarkable quality of somewhere fully lived in, no longer new. The desk again, but transformed. A proper console now, several radio units built into the wall in a neat row instead of the single humble box we first saw. The man sits at the center of it, visibly older, comfortable in his own skin in a way he wasn't in Chapter 1. Beside him, working a second station with easy competence, is the child, grown now, a young adult, clearly an engineer in their own right. Child grown, checking a readout, half a grin, three-way links holding steady. Second sights online, third sights barely, but online. First time we've ever had all of them up at once. Man watching the readout, still delighted by this kind of thing after all these years. 3 rocks talking to each other in real time. Try explaining that to somebody 20 years ago. Child grown, dry, fond, you'd have to explain it to yourself 20 years ago. Pretty sure you'd have believed it before anyone else would. The console chimes, 3 tones this time, layered, distinct. The man opens the channel, and 3 voices come through, overlapping warmly, clearly old friends by now rather than strangers on a first call. Voice 1, VO. The original Earth director, older now too, warm Habitat 1. This is Earth Relay, and apparently also Habitat 2 and 3, all patched in at once, so forgive the noise. Just wanted everyone on this call for the occasion. Voice 2, VO. A new voice, younger, energetic, clearly the second colony's own version of the man Habitat 2 here. Cylinder 3 just came fully online our end, 3 spinning now, on our rock alone. Wanted the people who wrote the blueprint to hear it happen live. A ragged, delighted cheer goes up faintly behind that second voice. Their own community, celebrating, an unmistakable echo of the scene back in Chapter 3. Man grinning, leaning into the console like he can somehow lean closer to the sound of it. Copy that, Habitat 2, and congratulations, genuinely. Feels strange and wonderful hearing that cheer come through a wire instead of standing in the middle of it. Voice 3, VO. A third voice calmer, more clipped, clearly newer to all this. Still finding their footing, Habitat 3. Still mostly just robots and one very tired systems operator over here. But the shell's holding, the first bay's hollowed, and I wanted to say, for what it's worth. Reading your old logs got me through some very long nights out here alone. The man goes quiet a moment, visibly moved. Man warm, steady, speaking directly to that third voice like he remembers exactly what it is. It gets better. I promise you it gets so much better. Keep the radio on, keep talking to it even when nobody answers right away. And one day you'll look up and the whole rock will be full of noise you didn't have to make yourself. A beat of quiet static, the weight of that landing across 3 habitats and 1 homeworld all at once. Child groan, softly to the man just between them, you okay? Man nodding, a little thick, entirely happy, better than okay. Just didn't expect to still be doing this all these years on. Didn't expect there to be a this to keep doing. He straightens, keys the wide channel again, voice warming back up, easy, generous. Man can't, into the comm, to all 3 sites at once, all right, since we're all here. Habitat 3, first thing, the second your gravity's stable enough to hold a bucket of water. Build a channel, put a ball in it, and don't ask why. Trust me on this one. A confused pause, then a laugh through the static from Habitat 3. Voice 3, VO. Bemused game. Copy that, a ball, in a channel, no further questions. Man grinning at the child, who's grinning right back. You'll understand eventually. Everybody does. Outside the window behind them, faint against the dark, 3 small points of gold light hang in the black. 3 rocks, 3 valleys, 3 quiet miracles, all finally talking to each other at once. Lights hold on the desk. The man, the grown engineer beside him. The console humming with 3 worlds worth of company, then fades slowly. End of Chapter 8. Chapter 9. The Return. Scene 1. The hub again, but the traffic through it now is easy, routine, nothing like the hushed wonder of that first docking. The man stands near the hatch with the child grown, a travel bag over one shoulder, dressed for a trip. Behind them, a small gathering has formed to see them off, the doctor, the engineer, RADIA, older now, maybe 8, sharp-eyed and clearly always underfoot, and the agronomist. Child grown, fidgeting with the bag strap, More nervous than they're letting on. It's strange. Packing for somewhere I'm from and have never actually stood on. Man warm, steadying. You're from here. Earth's just where the paperwork says you're headed. Different thing entirely. Child groan. Half a laugh, try telling my stomach that. Real gravity, not the spun kind. I've read about it my whole life. Never actually felt it. Doctor, matter of fact, kind, you'll be fine. Little heavier than you're used to, little slower to catch your balance the first few days. Nothing your bones can't handle. That's rather the whole point of the last however many years, isn't it? RADIA tugs at the man's sleeve, insistent. RADIA, are you sad they're leaving? Man, crouching to her level, thoughtful a little. Mostly I'm proud. There's a difference. You'll know it when you feel both at once someday. He stands, faces the child grown, properly now. The two of them sharing a long look that carries all the years between the docking bay kid and the person standing here now. Man, Kant, first time I watched you come through that hatch, you asked if I was the robot man. Child grown, laughing, a little emotional. I remember. You said you weren't, last I checked. Man grinning, still not, last I checked. But you're about to be the first person born and raised out here who walks around down there. Whatever you find, however heavy the air feels, you're going to be carrying this whole rock's answer to a question nobody down there's ever gotten to ask properly. Child grown, quieter, taking that in. What question? Man, simply, whether a person can grow up out here and still belong anywhere. I think you're about to prove that's a yes. The hatch cycles, a soft chime. The child grown shoulders the bag properly, takes a breath, and turns toward it, then turns back on impulse, pulling the man into a quick, fierce hug. Child grown, muffled into his shoulder, keep the ball running. Man laughing, holding on a second longer than either of them probably planned, always. Go on. Whole planet's waiting, and it doesn't know yet how lucky it's about to get. The child grown steps through the hatch, waves once, and is gone. The small crowd lingers a moment, watching the sealed hatch, then begins to disperse. The doctor and agronomist already talking about something else entirely. RADIA tugging at the engineer's sleeve, wanting to know when they can go to the channel. The man stays a beat longer than the rest, looking at the hatch, then turns and heads back toward the desk, unhurried, at peace. End of Scene 1. Scene 2. The desk, some hours later, quiet, the console's steady lights, the only real activity. The man sits with the old camera in hand, turning it over idly, waiting. The console chimes, the particular tone reserved for the quantum line. He opens it fast, eager. Child grown, VO, through the radio, breathless, laughing, unmistakably emotional. I'm down. I'm actually down, feet on actual Earth, and I have never in my life felt anything as strange and as heavy and as green. It's green everywhere, not 20 acres of it. Everywhere as far as I can see, no curve to it at all, just flat and green and going on forever. Man grinning, delighted, leaning into the console, no curve. Yeah, takes some getting used to from what I remember. Child grown, VO, a startled laugh, there's wind. Actual wind, not vents, it just happens out of nowhere, and nobody down here even reacts to it, like it's nothing. Beat, and her voice catches, thick with something bigger than the weather. Child grown, VO, Kant, and there's a whole crowd of people here to meet me. Reporters, some kids from a school, a couple of the engineers who worked the blueprint from this side. All of them wanting to shake my hand like I did something, when really I just grew up somewhere far away and showed up. Man soft, sure, that is the something, don't undersell it. Your proof, same as I told you. Let them shake your hand. A pause, comfortable, easy, an ocean and a great deal of empty space between them, and none of it mattering at all. Child grown, VO, quieter now, more her own voice than the excited one. It's beautiful here. It really is. Beat. But I already missed the valley. Man warm, unbothered, entirely certain good. That means you built a home instead of just a launch point. The valley'll be right here, exactly where you left it, whenever you're ready to come back to it. Child grown, VO, a smile audible in her voice, keep the ball running till then. Man grinning, setting the old camera down gently on the desk beside the yellow book always. Go see your planet. We'll be here. The line holds a beat longer, comfortable static, distance measured now in light and love rather than loneliness. Lights hold on the desk, the book, the camera, the man, the whole valley humming quietly on beyond him, then fade slowly. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. 10 years in the valley. Scene 1. The valley, transformed by scale and time, more buildings now tucked along the edges, more crop rows, a second water channel running parallel to the first, a small crowd bigger than anything we've seen, gathered near the original channel for what's clearly a planned occasion. Banners strung between trellises, tables heavy with food, string lights catching the spindle glow. The man stands near the original channel, older, easy in himself, watching it all with quiet wonder. Radia, now a young teenager, sits at the water's edge, still occasionally nudging the ball along out of pure habit. The doctor, engineer, and agronomist are scattered through the crowd, older, comfortable, clearly at home. Engineer sidling up to the man, grinning, gesturing at the whole scene, 10 years. You do the math on that lately. 10 years since it was just you, a radio, and a very patient set of robots. Man shaking his head, amazed, I try not to. Numbers like that make my knees hurt just thinking about them. A soft commotion near the hub entrance, the hatch cycling, a small crowd of arrivals coming through. Among them, unmistakable even after all this time, the child grown, older still, and beside her, a distinguished older man in earth-cut travel clothes, moving carefully, clearly unused to the gravity, the director in person for the first time in the whole story. Man caught, stunned, delighted that's actually him. He actually came. The man crosses to them fast, all decorum abandoned, and takes the director's offered hand in both of his. Director, a little breathless from the walk, grinning ear to ear, 10 years of hearing your voice through a wire, and I finally decided that wasn't good enough anymore. Wanted to shake the hand that started all this while I've still got the legs to make the trip. Man laughing, overcome, you're standing in it. Actually standing in it. Director looking around, genuinely awed, turning slowly to take in the full curve of the valley. I've seen the footage 100 times. Doesn't prepare you. None of it prepares you for standing in a green valley that curves up over your own head like the sky decided to hug you. Radia approaches, curious, bold as ever. Radia, are you the Earth voice? From the radio? Director, crouching, delighted by the directness, I am. And you must be the famous Radia. I've heard an enormous amount about a ball that won't stop moving, and I understand you're something of an authority on the subject. Radia, entirely serious, taking his hand and tugging, come on. I'll show you. It's the best thing here. The director, laughing, lets himself be led off toward the channel by an insistent 13-year-old, the crowd parting fondly to let them through. The child grown watches them go, smiling, then turns to the man. Child grown, warm, a little teary, told him the whole way out here he wouldn't be ready for it. He wasn't. Man pulling her into a real hug. Good to have you home, even if it's just visiting. Child grown, quiet, honest, it's never just visiting. This is home. Earth's Earth something else. Somewhere I belong to now, which I didn't expect. But this is home. They stand together a moment, looking out at the whole gathered, thriving crowd of it. The tables, the banners, the second channel. The director crouched by the water letting Radia explain the physics of it with enormous authority. The doctor and engineer and agronomist somewhere in the mass of people. All of it lit gold under the spindle's long afternoon light. Man quiet, full, almost disbelieving, 10 years. A rock, a radio, a valley, and somehow all of this. Child grown, smiling, you say that like you're surprised. You built it to hold exactly this. You just didn't let yourself believe it'd actually work all the way through. Man, a real, unguarded laugh, no. No, I don't think I did. Beat, watching the crowd, the light, the whole improbable, thriving valley of it. Man, Kant, glad I was wrong about that. He raises a glass someone's pressed into his hand at some point without him noticing, and the gesture ripples outward. The engineer, the doctor, the agronomist, the director still crouched by the water, all of them lifting something in turn, a loose, unrehearsed, entirely genuine toast rolling through the whole gathered valley. Man caught, loud now, easy, joyful, to the whole crowd, to the rock, and the radio, and every single person who showed up and made a home out of both. A ragged, warm cheer rises up across the valley, the whole 10 years of it folded into one long, unhurried moment. Wide shot, pulling back and back. The crowd, the channel, the crops, the two great cylinders turning steady overhead, and far beyond the rock seams, faint against the stars, the small gold lights of two more worlds doing exactly the same thing, somewhere else, right now. Lights hold, full and warm, then fade slowly to black. End of Chapter 10. Chapter 11. The Council. Scene 1. The desk, quieter than the anniversary crowd, just the man, the engineer, and the doctor, some paperwork spread between them. The man looks tired in a way that isn't sickness, just years. Doctor gently, direct, you've been running every decision through this desk for 10 years. Debris calls, harvest schedules, who gets which bunk. That's not sustainable, and you know it better than I do. Man, half a smile, half resigned, started as one man and some robots. Guess I never updated the org chart. Engineer, pushing a tablet toward him, so update it. A council, you, me, the doctor, agronomist, a couple of the newer heads. Spread the weight around. You built the place so it wouldn't need just one person to survive a debris field. Time it stopped needing just one person to run it, too. The man looks at the tablet a long moment, a proposed roster. His own name listed once among several, not at the top. Man quiet, something easing in him, feels strange, seeing my name in a list instead of at a desk by itself. Doctor warm, feels like the whole point, actually. Man signing it, decisive, almost relieved, then let's make it official. First act of the council. Somebody else takes debris watch overnight shifts. My knees have earned a full night's sleep. Laughter, lights fade. End of Chapter 11. Chapter 12. The Wedding. Scene 1. The valley, dressed for celebration again, this time flowers woven through the trellises, the whole community gathered by the water channel. The child grown, returned for good this time, stands at the channel's edge in simple, valley-made clothes, radiant, waiting. Beside her, a partner we haven't met, an engineer's apprentice from Habitat 2, arrived on the last transport. The man stands to the side, officiating, the yellow book incongruously tucked under one arm out of pure habit. Man warm, a little choked up, clearly having practiced this and still not composed. 10 years ago, I stood right here explaining to a kid why water climbs uphill. Never once imagined I'd be standing in the same spot, marrying that same kid to somebody who traveled a whole belt cluster to reach her. Apprentice, grinning, nervous, happy, heard about the ball before I ever heard about her, if I'm honest. Figured any place that builds something that joyfully useless was worth the trip. Child grown, laughing, eyes wet, charming, marry me anyway. The man closes the book he's not reading from, sets it down by the channel's edge, the same spot it's always occupied, and spreads his hands to the gathered crowd. Man by whatever authority a man with a desk and a very patient set of robots can claim, I now pronounce you exactly what you already were to each other. Go on. Kiss her before Radia starts narrating. Radia, now clearly a young adult somewhere in the crowd, calls out something teasing we don't quite catch. Laughter rises. The couple kisses. The ball, unbothered, keeps climbing and falling in the channel beside them. Lights hold. Warm, then fade. End of Chapter 12. Chapter 13. Born and Sent. Scene 1. The hub, a departure this time unlike any before, not colonists arriving from Earth, but a small crew of young valley-born adults, none older than 25, boarding a transport of their own. Radia is among them, a pack over her shoulder, engineering tools clipped to her belt. The man and the child, grown, visibly pregnant now, stand together seeing them off. Radia, fierce, proud, a little nervous, first crew to a new site that's entirely valley-born. Nobody on this ship has ever set foot on Earth. Feels strange, being the experienced ones for once. Man, grinning, hands on her shoulders, feels exactly like it should. You're not going out to prove a body can survive out here anymore, that answer's settled. You're going out to prove the idea travels, that it's not just me and a radio anymore. It's you now, all of you. RADIA, steadying herself, determined. Keep the ball running till I'm back to check on it. Man laughing, embracing her every single day. Same as always. Go build your own valley, and when you get there, put a ball in the channel first thing. Trust me. RADIA boards, the hatch cycles. The man and child, grown, stand watching, her hand resting on her own belly, his arm around her shoulders. Child grown, quiet, watching the hatch seal, funny. Feels like watching myself leave all those years ago. Man, soft, feels like watching the whole thing finally stand up on its own. Lights hold on the sealed hatch, then fade. End of chapter 13. Chapter 14. The fifth light. Scene 1. The desk, night cycle, the console, now a full wall of steady, patient lights, one for each site. A fifth light blinks on for the first time, faint, new. The man, visibly older still, sits before it with the child grown, her child now a toddler asleep against her shoulder. Child grown, watching the new light that's Radia's, first transmission from the new site. The man opens the channel. Radia's voice comes through, younger than the director's ever was, rougher around the edges, unmistakably proud. RADIA VO, through static, breathless, delighted, this is Habitat 5 first light. Shells holding first bays hollowed and a laugh, channels already dug. Ball goes in the second we've got water moving. Wanted you to be the first to know. Man, voice thick, entirely undone, delighted, copy that, Habitat 5. Ball first. Always ball first. You did good, Radia. You did so much better than good. RADIA VO. Soft, proud, learned from the best. Keep our channel running till I'm home to see it again. The line holds, warm static, 5 lights now steady on the wall. The man looks at them a long moment, 5 small proofs of an idea that started with just him and a rock, and reaches over to squeeze the sleeping toddler's small foot, gentle, full. Lights fade slowly on the wall of 5. End of chapter 14. Chapter 15. Man in chair. Scene 1. Full circle, the desk, the chair, the man, old now, silver-haired, still sharp-eyed. It's early in the valley's cycle, quiet. He sits exactly as we first found him, checking messages. Man to himself, the exact echo of the very first line of this whole story, but warmer now, amused by the rhyme of it, emails. Let's see. He scrolls, smiles at something. The desk around him is thick with the years. The yellow book, worn soft at the corners now. The old camera, still in its place. A child's drawing, faded, still taped to a monitor's edge. 5 small, steady lights on the console wall. RADIA's child, a small kid now, maybe 6. The newest generation wanders in, climbs uninvited into the second chair, exactly as generations before her have. RADIA's child, with total ancient seriousness, grandpa. Tell me how it started. Man setting the tablet down, settling in, delighted by the request, the whole shape of the story visibly gathering in him one more time. Well, let's see. Beat, warm, unhurried. I was inside a rock, main asteroid belt. He looks to her, grinning, and gestures out at the valley beyond the desk. Green, curved, full of 5 generations worth of noise and light and water that never quite stops moving. Man, Kant, and radiation was nominal in here. Wide shot, pulling back and back and back, the desk, the valley, the 2 cylinders, the far small gold lights of 5 worlds turning quietly against the dark, all of it humming on, alive, unhurried, entirely at peace. Lights hold a long, warm moment, then fade gently to black, not an ending, just the story, settling in to keep going without us. End of chapter 15. Chapter 16. The Gathering. Scene 1. The hub, but transformed beyond anything we've seen. Dock after dock, ship after ship, running lights of every color threading in and out. A banner strung high across the widest bay reads, simply, All HABITATS. The man, properly old now but moving with an easy, contented energy, stands near the largest viewport with the child grown beside him, watching the traffic. Child grown, counting under her breath, then giving up, laughing. I stopped trying to count the ships an hour ago. Every sight sent someone, every single one. Man shaking his head, still faintly disbelieving after all these years. First time all 5 will ever be in the same room. Same rock, technically. Same everything. A hatch cycles. Through it comes a small crowd. Among them, a woman with Radia's exact bearing but a decade older, a man with the second colony's easy grin, and a handful of others, all clearly leaders of their own small worlds now. RADIA breaks from the group first, crossing the distance fast, and pulls the man into a fierce hug. RADIA, laughing, emotional, told you I'd bring the whole operation to see the original channel someday. Didn't think it'd take building a second one of my own to get here. Man holding on, delighted, worth the wait. Look at you. Look at all of this. He gestures at the crowd, dozens now, filling the hub, greeting each other. Some meeting fellow habitat builders for the first time in person after years of only ever being a voice through the quantum line. RADIA turning, gesturing at the woman and man who arrived with her. This is Imogen, runs engineering on Habitat 3 now. And Dov from 2, you've talked to him 100 times, never actually shaken his hand. DOV, grinning, extending a hand, man who built the blueprint. Feels strange, finally getting to say that to your actual face instead of a speaker. Man shaking it warmly. Feels strange being called that by someone who built a whole world off 6 pages of notes and a stubborn hunch. You did the hard part. I just went first. The child groan, touches his arm, nodding toward the valley elevator. Child groan, they're setting up down at the channel. Whole thing. Every site sent seeds from their own valley, apparently going to plant a row from each one, side by side, right along the original water. Man visibly moved. 5 valleys worth of dirt, all in one row. Beat, and he laughs, wiping at his eyes without much shame about it. Man can't. Radio started this whole thing because I didn't want anyone doing this alone. Never once let myself imagine it'd end up looking like. He gestures at the crowded, joyful hub. This. RADIA, gently. It didn't end up anywhere, old man. It's still going. The man laughs, nods, lets that land. The whole crowd begins moving toward the elevators, voices overlapping, warm and unhurried. 5 worlds worth of people about to stand together in one valley for the first time. Man calling out to the whole moving crowd, grinning, arms wide. Well, come on then. Channel's this way. And somebody go find a ball for every single one of you, because I promise you, you're going to want to see this. Lights hold on the crowd pouring toward the elevators, laughter and light spilling through the hub, then fade slowly. End of Chapter 16. Chapter 17. 5 rows. Scene 1. The valley, fuller than we have ever seen it, the whole crowd from the hub spread along the water channel, kneeling in loose lines, hands in the dirt. 5 small burlap sacks sit open at intervals along the bank, each labeled in a different hand. Habitat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The man kneels at the first sack, the original soil, RADIA beside him at the 5th. IMOGEN, laughing, brushing dirt off her hands, calling down the line. Whoever labeled Habitat 3's seeds in my handwriting is a liar. I did not write that neatly. Someone recopied it. DOV, from further down, grinning, guilty. Figured history shouldn't have to squint. Laughter ripples down the line. The man presses a seed into the dirt at the channel's edge, careful, unhurried, then sits back on his heels, watching the whole scene, 5 colonies worth of hands working the same short stretch of ground. Man quiet to Radia, working beside him, 5 kinds of dirt. 5 kinds of light they grew under, all going into the same row. RADIA not looking up, focused, content, same row, same water. Different sky, though. Every one of us built our own light system a little different. You'll see it in a few weeks. This row's going to grow up looking like nowhere else in the system. Not quite any one valley, all of them at once. Man smiling, turning that over, didn't plan for that. Radia grinning, echoing him. Neither did you plan for any of the rest of it. Worked out anyway. Down the line, the child-grown toddler, now a determined small child, is enthusiastically overwatering one entire section, to the mild alarm of an agronomist from Habitat 4 trying gently to redirect the hose. Laughter rises again. The man watches it all, then looks to the water channel itself, the ball still running its old patient course, entirely unbothered by the crowd. Man standing, brushing off his knees, raising his voice to carry down the whole line, everybody, before we lose the light. Look at what we're kneeling in front of. The crowd quiets turns. He gestures at the channel. Man, can't, that ball's been running that same water since before most of you were old enough to walk. Longer than some of your habitats have existed. Whole reason it still runs is it never had anywhere it needed to stop. Beat, looking out at all of them. 5 worlds worth of hands still dark with dirt, kneeling together along one small stretch of water. Man, can't, feels like the right way to think about today. Nobody here's finishing anything. We're just planting the next stretch of a thing that was never going to stop on its own anyway. A quiet murmur of agreement, warm, the crowd settling back to the work, hands returning to the dirt, seeds going in row by row, 5 valleys worth of soil folding slowly into one. Wide shot pulling back over the whole scene. The channel, the crowd, the ball still climbing and falling, the 2 original cylinders turning steady overhead, and far beyond the rock seams, 5 small gold lights holding patient in the dark, all of them, for once, gathered in the very same place. Lights hold, long and warm, then fade gently to black. End of Chapter 17. Chapter 18. The Quiet Shift. Scene 1. Some time later, the gathering's traffic has thinned, most ships departed, the hub back to its usual easy rhythm. The desk, evening light low and gold. The man sits alone for the first time in a while, not because anyone's left him that way, but because everyone else is elsewhere, living their own piece of the day. The yellow book and the old camera sit where they always have. He's not working, just sitting, a cup of something warm in his hands, looking out at the valley through the monitors. The engineer, older now too, her hair mostly silver, leans in the doorway, watching him a moment before he notices her. Engineer, you're doing the thing where you sit very still and think enormous thoughts. I can always tell. Man, half a laugh, not denying it, caught. Just watching it get quiet again after all that noise. Good noise, but quiet's got its own kind of good to it too. She crosses, sits in the second chair, the one that's held a whole line of people over the years, and looks out at the same feed he's watching. Engineer, gently, you know it doesn't need you at this desk every evening anymore. Hasn't for years, if we're honest. Council runs it. Radia runs a whole rock of her own. Kid runs Habitat 2's tightest bearings in the belt. Man nodding, unbothered, easy, I know. Doesn't mean I don't like sitting here anyway. Some habits outlive their reason and get to stay purely because they're good ones. Beat, and he turns the cup slowly in his hands. Man, can't, started out here because a desk was the only tool I had. Stayed because somewhere along the way it stopped being a control room and started being, I don't know, a kitchen table. The place everybody ends up, one way or another, even after they don't strictly need to. Engineer, smiling. That's a nicer way of putting it than I refuse to retire. Man, laughing. Genuinely, that's also true. Both things can be true. A comfortable silence. On the monitor, faint, small figures move through the valley below, Radia's toddler chasing something through the crop rows. The doctor walking with the agronomist, ordinary evening motion. Nothing dramatic, everything simply, quietly alive. Engineer, watching it with him. Strange thing to say after 18 chapters of a life, but I think this might be my favorite part. Not the arrivals, not the launches, not the anniversaries. Just this. Everybody somewhere doing something small and fine, and none of it needing us to watch it happen for it to be real. Man quiet, considering that, then smiling, yeah, I think you might be right. He sets the cup down, reaches over, and for once doesn't pick up the book or the camera, just rests his hand flat on the desk, feeling the whole quiet, steady hum of the place underneath it. Man caught, soft, mostly to himself, good rock, good radio, good, quiet, ordinary evening. Lights hold on the two of them, easy in the low gold light, the valley humming on below, unhurried and entirely its own, then fades slowly to black. End of chapter 18.